Most of my trouble with interpreting what Dr. Myers had written had to do with my leaving out things after coordinating conjunctions. It's like my brain was trying to make all the long sentences simpler by just dropping part of each sentence. I kept thinking that the important part must be the first part, but the parts after the coordinating conjunctions were also important. I needed to remember each part, not just the first part. I understood then that in making things simpler, I was actually oversimplifying. The mistake I was making was acting like coordinating conjunctions were pointing out things I could ignore. I was acting like everything after and or but was just extra information I really didn't need to remember. But that's not right. The coordinating conjunctions were showing a connection between different parts of a sentence. I needed to pay attention to each part to understand the whole sentence. First, I needed to recognize what each part of the sentence was saying. Then, I needed to see how the coordinating conjunction was connecting those parts together. There are 7 coordinating conjunctions. Remember fanboys? That's how you can remember all 7. F is for, A is and, N is nor, B is but, O is or, Y is yet, S is so. What do each of these do? It's important to remember that conjunctions like these don't just connect parts of sentences. They also indicate a specific relationship between those parts. What does that mean? Let's look at each one and see. For is giving you a reason for something. It's kind of old-fashioned, but people still use for this way sometimes. In this sentence, I didn't go back to the office, for my work there was done. The reason I didn't go back to the office comes after for. Think of for as an old-fashioned because. And is telling you that all the parts it connects are relevant. In this sentence, I needed to complete the proper forms, and I needed to bring the appropriate identification. The and shows that both things are necessary. I can't just complete the proper forms. I also need to bring the right ID. Nor is negative. It tells you that the parts it connects are not true or not relevant. You usually see it with neither, although it's kind of an old-fashioned word, and you won't see it that often in writing today. In this sentence, neither rain nor snow nor dark of night will keep our couriers from their appointed rounds. The nor is saying that none of these things, not rain, not snow, not dark of night, will stop the couriers from doing their jobs. But is usually pointing out a contrast or a negation or an exception. In this sentence, I tried to explain the problem to him, but Bob didn't listen. The but tells me that even though I tried to explain the problem, Bob didn't listen. Bob didn't listen negates or cancels out the first part of the sentence I tried to explain the problem to him. Or often points out alternatives. If you say negates or cancels out, the or means that cancels out is a different way of saying negates. In this sentence, you can take the bus to get there, or you could just walk. Or is pointing out a second option. Because take the bus is the first option, that might mean that this is the better option of the two. But the or means that you could just walk is also a possible choice. Yet works like but when it is used as a coordinating conjunction. In this sentence, I gave him every chance to improve, yet he never did. The yet tells me that the second part of the sentence, he never did, cancels out the first part, I gave him every chance to improve. Yet is basically saying the same thing as nevertheless or even so. So is often used like therefore, and it often signals a cause and effect kind of relationship. In this sentence, he didn't seem to want to talk about it, so I didn't ask him. I didn't ask because he didn't seem to want to talk. So points out the cause and effect relationship. The part before so is the cause, and the part after is the effect. Some sentences start with a conjunction like these. And now you know the rest of the story. But I didn't ever go back there. So now you know how to make lasagna. These aren't coordinating conjunctions in the typical sense. However, when I see these, I go back to the sentence before to see if there's a connection. Sometimes I think writers do this just to make the sentence more dramatic, or simply to make them shorter. But sometimes, like in this sentence you are reading right now, a sentence can begin with a conjunction because it's a continuation of the thought from the sentence before. Angela just took me aside, and I'm not too happy about it.
Listen, Jennifer, I know you mean well, but unless you get your act together, I don't see how you think you can ever be a medical assistant.
Well, Dr. Myers has been working with me to figure out what I need to do better.
Dr. Myers has been a lot more patient with you than I'd be.
You've made that clear. I'm just learning a little of what you do, Angela. Do you get everything right the first time you do it?
I'm just telling you that understanding what doctors write is part of the job, and you're not good at it.
Well, thanks for the encouragement, Angela. Look, if Dr. Myers gives up on me, that's one thing, but he hasn't yet. And I might be shadowing you, but you're not my boss, okay?
You better hope I never am your boss.
Well, that went well. Angela is being mean about it, but she's right. I do need to get a better handle on understanding the notes Dr. Myers writes. I think concentrating on coordinating conjunctions will help me do that. Congratulations! You've completed this section. Keep up the good work and move on to the next section.